Prime Minister, this visit today, it all looks a bit like panic, doesn't it?
Well, what it looks like is what it is that the leaders of the United Kingdom's main political parties, Labour, Conservative, Liberal Democrat, we care so passionately about this issue and about our family of nations that we wanted to come today to Scotland, separately, but to talk about these issues and to listen to people.
But it wasn't planned, was it? This has been injected into the grid at the last minute.
No, of course it wasn't planned. Normally it's Prime Minister's questions on a Wednesday. But
Which just shows how badly things are going.
Well, no, what it shows is how important this question is. This is not voting for a general election and you can take a different view in 5 years' time. This is a vote for all time. And so it really matters, coming to Scotland, listening to people, but making the arguments. As I said, both arguments of the heart as well as the head, arguments about how passionately we care about this family of nations and what a tragedy it would be for it to be torn apart.
How does it feel to be the Prime Minister who may lose a part of the United Kingdom?
Well, I think the right thing to do as Prime Minister is respect the wishes of the people. We live in a democracy. Scotland voted for a Scottish National Party government whose policy it was to hold a referendum on independence. As Prime Minister, I had two choices. I could ignore Scotland and the will of the Scottish people, and I think that would have been the wrong approach, or I could listen to the Scottish people and give them a referendum that was legal, decisive and fair. I took that path, and I think it was the right path to take.
With the way it's got to be so close now, it must be keeping you awake at night, isn't it?
Well, of course, this is a huge question that people in Scotland have to make, but it's also a question that I care about passionately. This is one of the biggest decisions for Scotland in 300 years, but it's also one of the biggest decisions our United Kingdom has had to take, and of course I care passionately, and of course I'm hugely concerned about it.
Could a Prime Minister who lost a part of the United Kingdom stay in power?
Well, Prime Ministers have to accept the democratic will of the people in their country, and I think it's very important that people in Scotland know that the consequences of a no vote and a yes vote are very simply that. No means you stay in the United Kingdom. Yes means you separate yourself from the United Kingdom, but it doesn't have consequences for Alex Salmond, for Ed Miliband, for me, for anybody else. The only question that's being asked and answered is about the future of Scotland.